For this week, I chose Ember.js to research instead of using Angular.js. Now, with any framework that you're trying to learn, you're going to want to do some basic tests. What would for example, what could you do in the previous framework that you're trying to do now? That's basically what the approach I took to it. Now, in week two, we covered routing in Angular.js, not Ember. Now, Ember.js is ambitious for creating ambitious web applications. Now it's kind of a side framework to if you're using Ruby on Rails, the Django, the Zen framework, Cake PHP, Symfony. I use Symfony and Rails or the Django. I use the big three, and then you got the Zen framework. I probably already stated that. And then there's others for Perl, Lisp, Lua. Yeah, there's the Lua web applications out there, but they're pretty small. So for this demonstration, before I get into explaining the code, um, this this is it. It's not much, but it just shows you what you can do with very little time. Now, as you can see, I just went to index.html, but it rerouted me to my homepage. Now, if I click on that, ain't gonna do anything. It's just a banner. It's just supposed to say Ember. Otherwise, I can just link to index.html, and it'll just take me home anyway. So why bother? So if I click on post, it'll take me to post. And about these aren't individual pages like you had to create with Angular. They're right into the main index.html. So let me show you the code for index.html. Um, now, if you're now this ain't much from the week one application. It's really not much at all. All it really is a paragraph HTML tag, and just saying about, home, or post. And as you can see, there's a little script for each page. Now I needed to use the handlers dependency for Ember.js to do the routing properly. I tried without it, didn't work too well. I did get it working, but this was a much simpler solution, and it's a lot less code. HTML, I mean. And I also had to identify home, post, and about, as with the link to command that I had to write for. It's basically, saying, hey, you don't want to use the A in href, why not use link to? That's basically exactly what it does, but you're not linking to anything. You're not linking to individual index HTML pages. You're just linking to the resources you created in your app. Now let me go to the app .js. And to start an Ember.js application, you create a variable. Um, and then you just Ember.application that create. You're just creating the application. Now, as I said earlier, I just did routing, page routing. Well, actually, view routing, however you want to describe it. So I had to do the variable I chose, which was app, then router.map, and it's mapping the resource to home, about, and posts, and it's a function. That's all there is to it for routing individual pages. Now, if you don't want to use link to, you can use ahref. You just have to use the number slide / whatever you wrote for your inside the parentheses. Now now with Ember.js, you're using models. You were using models in Angular.js, but you didn't really have to use them that much. And they're pretty transparent in Ember.js, so you don't necessarily even have to go. They're already there. So this is the model. If you want to believe that, not much there. It's also with the model's already graded for every outlet that you're displaying, and you can display many outlets. Many will use it for posts, comments, profile pages. That's what you would. That's the models that you would use, and you would output them in the Outlook. The Outlook code. It's just a little bracket, Outlook, and it'll display that model. Now you got before model. Now as I showed you earlier, when that it redirected me to the home. That's what because before model it's only loaded once. Um, you can load it again if you go to index.html, but it'll transition you transition to you to home, and then I can click on post about, or even go back to home, and the before model won't load again. Now this is the after model. Um, if I just move this over the function, this transition to, all it will do is just transition me to home, regardless of page. It'll constantly take me there, and it crash the web page. That's really it for Emberjs. What I did this week, I didn't cover that much. No, you can do a lot more. You can get into controllers, you can get into models, you can get into objects. Now, that's more advanced topics, especially when you have very little time and it's just switching to another framework. Um, Now, let's just say you did this in a couple hours. I didn't. I did. I actually researched the entire framework and did the application in a couple hours, but the actual research was done in a couple days, not a couple hours. Now, I did try to write an actual blog. I was successful, but I did that in conjunction with Ruby.Rails, which is another framework for Ruby, web framework for Ruby, and that's what I use for my own web applications. Um, I don't use that much JavaScript or even jQuery for that matter. I just use Ruby and HTML, and that's really all I use, and it works really well. So that's my demonstration on Ember.js. If you want to learn more or comment on this video, just comment on Vimeo, or just leave a comment in the discussion. Have a nice day.